bringing a video to you guys about why I dropped out of uni in the US. Maybe dropout is a bit of a dramatic word. I mean, technically I stopped going there, so that is dropping out, but I did continue on to university in the Netherlands instead. I'm just going to get right into the reasons why I did not like studying in the US. So first of all, I felt that the number one reason why I don't like studying there is the cost. I mean, everyone knows that the cost of university in the US is just absolutely outrageous. And as someone who is a US citizen but grew up abroad and also had some issues with financial stuff because of my parents, it was going to be very expensive for me. So basically, I didn't qualify for FAFSA, so I couldn't apply for any government aid. I couldn't apply for scholarships to any public universities or state universities. That made things very hard and complicated. And as someone who grew up abroad, it's a really hard transition because I hadn't been living in any state in the US. I was not a resident, so I wouldn't be able to pay the in-state tuition anywhere, even though, you know, I am an American, but unless I'm a resident of a specific state, then I cannot get any kind of cheaper tuition. So I was basically paying the international student fee, which is kind of insane. And the fact that I couldn't apply for any government aid or anything, or even for a scholarship, was ridiculous. And my only options at that point were like to apply to private unis. What ended up happening was I ended up going to a state university. And the second thing I did not like about it, and maybe this is just a state university thing, is that it felt very unpersonal. And basically, it has to do with the size of the university as well. And it can be really hard when your university is really big. But yeah, I just felt like a number there. I didn't really feel that I as a student mattered, you know? Yeah, I did not like it. I just felt like the classes were really big. I didn't feel that a lot of my professors paid attention to their students, and that was really unfortunate. And the third thing is that I just think the quality of the education itself wasn't great. I don't like the idea of taking 2 years of general education requirements. I just think it's kind of insane because we went to school for 12 years. We did high school, and high school was the time to try classes from a bunch of different subjects and areas. And I understand for people who don't know what they want to do yet and want to explore different fields and interests, I think that's actually a really amazing thing. To that, I believe that because you don't have to decide on a major right away in the US, that's really nice. And you could take a couple courses in what you want. But I don't like that, you know, you have to have a science, you have to have a math in your first 2 years or so. I just think at that point, I think there could be something better than that general education requirements. I think it's nice if people are allowed to explore their interests and then choose a major, but anyway. In Europe, it's very, very different. You apply for a program and in a specific subject, that's it. And you can't really switch. You have to drop out of your program, stop your program, and then reapply to a brand new one. So I think this is the third thing or fourth thing. Yeah, I think it's okay, I'm losing track of the numbers. Anyway, I hated the dorms.
Oh my God, what is that? Oh my God, what is that?
I hate the idea that most freshmen need to spend a year in the dorms. I think the dorms can be amazing for making friends. I think that's a really great way to get to know people and make new friends. And a lot of my friends were just people who were living in my dorm, and I thought that was nice. But I don't like the idea of not having your own space, having to share a room with another human being. If you are going to university in other countries, I mean, I can't speak for everywhere, but at least in the Netherlands and in a lot of other European countries, it's kind of ridiculous to share a room with another person. I mean, you just need your privacy. You got stuff you got to do, you know? And, you know, if you need a personal moment, like, there is none. You have to have really good time management skills and make sure your roommate's out and, like, It's really bad. Another thing that I really hated about studying in the US is the need to have a car. I think as someone who lived in a city where cars were not the main mode of transportation, I really hated the concept. I feel like, you know, if you have been in America for a few years or you live somewhere where there are a lot of cars and most people have to drive everywhere, it's fine, but I didn't know if I was gonna stay there. So I didn't get a car my year that I was there. And it was really terrible. You have to have a car in the US. As an 18-year-old, I didn't want to get a car. If I knew I was staying there long term, I would have eventually had to get a car. But I don't like the concept of needing a car to drive to the grocery store. Sometimes I just want to walk to the grocery store, like I did back home in Thailand. And in the Netherlands, I bike to the grocery store, but I can also walk. I just don't think that, I mean, I think everyone knows that the layout of the US is built for cars. I mean, it's just a massive country. I get it, but for me personally, as a student, it just didn't really work for me. It wasn't in my budget, and I just did not want to get a car. And another thing that I did not like about living in the US was how dangerous it was. Now, this is something that is very specific to an area, a city, a town, your state even. But the place I lived in was super, super dangerous. There was like a huge mass shooting. The year that I was there, it was very close by, and that was terrible. And there was just a lot of bad things going on, to be honest. And even I had several incidents with people, and I even had to call the police at some point. Yeah, and it was a really terrible time, honestly. And I know that this is very specific to an area, and it's not every city in the US, of course, but like for me, that had a huge effect, and it was terrible. And yeah, I just had never felt that unsafe in my life. And in Thailand, I was able to always just like walk around at night, and I wasn't really worried, especially in Bangkok. It's like a very walkable city. There's always stuff going on, always people around, and yeah, it was just terrible. Like, I just didn't want to live somewhere like that. I felt very unsafe. And so I'm just really glad to not have that feeling anymore. Now I feel way more comfortable walking around at night. And the Netherlands in general is just like pretty safe. Of course, like there's some areas obviously that are not as safe, like some parts of Amsterdam, some parts of Brabant and stuff, but in general, like where I live, it's very safe. Stuff happens, sure, every now and then, like no place is immune from that, but yeah, it's just not as scary over here, to be honest. And so those are all my things that I had to say about why I dropped out of uni in the US. And yeah, I might make a video about why I actually decided to move to the Netherlands from the US and Thailand. And all the things I love about living here, why I prefer it, and why I'm gonna stay. But US, yeah, it just wasn't for me at that time. And yeah, but I would love to go back and visit my family there at some point, because they all moved there now. But yeah, and I just love to go back and explore a bit. But as for living there, I don't see myself going back, like, ever. So that was it. Thank you for watching my video. Please like and subscribe if you can. And yeah, hopefully I post more videos. Okay, bye.